Hi everyone, it's Ed from Runnable. So today we're going to do another review of the Puma Fastar Nitro Elite 3. Now I know it's annoying because this shoe is not readily available, but I did just do a park run in this shoe, another 5k, so I've done a half marathon, 10k, 5k now in this shoe. So I think I've got an overall good picture of whether this shoe is an absolute winner or whether you should avoid this shoe. But please watch some of the run footage. Again, I had a bit of a camera malfunction. Those that listen to this channel know that's often the case. I apologise for that, but I did get some run footage this time, running through the woods in Sheffield. It's the Endcliffe Parkrun. So it's a lovely scenic park run that I recommend. If you're up in Sheffield, do the Endcliffe, get your E in the parkrun alphabet in Endcliffe Park, Sheffield. But please watch the run footage and we'll do a full race review of this shoe straight after. It'll be worth the wait. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Back down off here, I'll just check my timers are okay. I'll move my stool out of the way and we'll get you going.
Usually can rely on at least 5 passes.
Timers, you alright?
I'm not qualified for this. Gani was there.
Okay everybody, remember, don't run through the cafe area at all, through the church, don't do it. Other than that, have a great run, and we'll go 3, 2, 1, go!
Careful, the other runners.
Coming through.
So is everyone else?
Thank you. Okay, so if you've seen my run footage, you'll know that this shoe performed rather well during the park run. Even though I didn't feel that great, I felt really heavy legged. So to give you some context, a week ago, almost exactly a week ago, I ran the Hackney Half Marathon. And then I ran a 10K race for my club on the Wednesday. And then on the Saturday, I ran this park run in this shoe. So that's 3 races in a week, and then that's, for me, that's kind of too much at my age. So there's no wonder that I had heavy legs during the park run. That said, the shoe performed really well, as did I, but the shoe in particular helps, and we'll go into that more when we talk about the race or run. But before we do that, let's just go through some very quick stats on this shoe. For those that don't know anything about the shoe, first and foremost, Puma make it available so that when I do these reviews, people aren't getting annoyed with me talking about a shoe they can't get. So please make it available ASAP, because people are missing out without having this shoe, right? Okay, get that out of the way. So weight wise, very light shoe, 190 grams in my UK size 9.5. I went up half a size. I wish I hadn't. It's runs quite long. The only thing I would say is the toe box tapers quite dramatically. So by going up half a size, I think I alleviate any toe rubbing issues that I might have. The downside obviously is this plate, this lip you can see here. I don't feel like I'm engaging that and getting the spring from that as much as I would have done had I gone true to size. So for me, true to size in this shoe, unless you've got a ridiculously wide foot, which means that your toes would get really squashed if you went true to size. So that's the weight. In terms of stack heights, you've got 40 in the heel, 32 in the forefoot, giving you 8mm drop. Doesn't feel like 8mm, I've said that before. Feels like 6 to me. The shoe doesn't feel like I'm that high up, even though it's got this massive stack. It doesn't feel as bad as some of the other shoes. Like the Hoka Cielo X1 2.0, I feel like I'm higher up in that shoe, for instance. And that's maybe because with those shoes, you get a lot more stack in the midfoot area, and it makes you feel like you're on this kind of springboard, this big bump, and it makes you really feel elevated. Whereas this shoe, I think, even though it looks crazy, it actually feels more normal to run in. Let's go through some key features of the shoe. So the upper, it's got this really nice light mesh upper. I think this is a real winning part of this shoe. You know, they've done a really good job, Puma, producing something that's incredibly light, but really good. I get amazing lockdown in this shoe. It does taper in here, but I have no toe issues. I've run a half marathon in this shoe as well. I had no problems with black toenails. And compare that with the Hoka Cielo X1 2.0, which destroyed my feet in the London Marathon. This has been a kind of pleasure for my feet to run in, because it's really kept them nice and locked in. My foot doesn't move around in this shoe. And because I'm up half a size, not by design, by the way, I couldn't get the 9 because it's always sold out, isn't it? Size 9. It does mean I have more space here, but my foot doesn't slide around in this shoe, so it doesn't bash up against the end. It stays rigid. And I think that's a couple of reasons. I think it's because it's got quite a narrow midfoot that keeps my foot nice and locked in, but also generally the lockdown in this shoe is really good. You've got just about the right amount of padding around the collar. You've got this semi-rigid heel counter that keeps your heel nice and locked in without annoying your Achilles whatsoever. You've got a bit of an annoying tongue, which is too thin and doesn't come up high enough. But once you get it in place, you've got this kind of pillow here. Again, this doesn't really come up high enough, but weirdly it kind of works. Once you get it in place, it's fiddly. You cinch it in, laces stay tight, nice and tight. And all in all, absolutely no lockdown issues in this shoe. So upper 5 out of 5. You'd be hard pushed to find a better upper than this. Maybe the Alpha Fly 3, potentially. I do like the Adios Pro 3 as well, Pro 4, sorry. But all in all, I think this is one of the best uppers out there on any racing shoe. Outsole, so Outsole's pretty good. I have now run in wet conditions in this shoe. We had some wet ground during the park run, performed really well. A bit muddy as well. There's some trail areas. So arguably this was not the perfect shoe for that park run, but it helped me navigate that park run really well. It's good grip, this. Again, it's Puma rubber. You can't really fault it. The only thing I would say is I'm starting to get loads of dints in it. You can see all over here where I've landed on stones and rocks. And that makes me think it might not be as durable as some of the other Puma offerings, like the Puma DV8 Nitro Elite 3, for instance, which I think is possibly more durable. But like I said, in terms of grip, in terms of navigating some tricky terrain, this was absolutely fine. So again, I'd give it 4.5 out of 5. If it wasn't for these dints here, it would get a 5. And then finally, midsole. This aliphatic TPU midsole is absolutely fantastic. I can't really praise it highly enough. It's not the softest ride in the world, but you do get a lot of bounce out of it. And whether you're going 5K or half marathon, I haven't done a marathon yet, you get, for any of those distances, you get a consistent energy return in this shoe. It doesn't bottom out like you get with some shoes. The Cielos, for instance, 1 and 2. I got a bit of bottoming out in a marathon and some half marathons, whereas this shoe, this stayed really consistent in terms of energy return, and the foam felt really responsive all the way through those 5Ks, 10Ks and half marathon. So I would say the foam is great. I would say the geometry really works for me as well. It helps me lengthen my stride. I land about here, and it's got a decent rocker. It's not like the Cielo X1 2.0. If you really like a really aggressive rocker, you might like that, or the Endorphin Elite version 1 from Saucony. But this is not a bad combination of a decent rocker, but also great toe spring that you get. You've got this little lip here. I don't feel like I engage the lip in this plate, or the plate in this lip even. I don't feel I engage that. I feel it's a bit gimmicky, but let me know in the comments if you've got this shoe and you feel like you're engaging this. I don't. I'll be totally brutally honest with you. It might be because I went up half a size when I shouldn't have, so my toes are further back. But I just feel maybe that's a little bit of a gimmick. But in general, I think the plate is actually quite a flexible plate, which I prefer. I don't like them too rigid, which means that I can manipulate the shoe a little bit. It's not so rigid. It does mean though, if you have toe mobility issues, you might want something a little bit firmer that does a bit of the work that your toes will do. But that said, this isn't bad actually. It's nowhere near as bad as some of the softer shoes like the Endorphin Elite 2 or the Adidas Pro 4 in terms of the work your toes have to put in when you're running this shoe. This is actually not too bad. It's a nice combination of having a nice aggressive rocker, but also being able to have some toe spring without your toes sinking into the foam and feeling like they're doing a lot of work, which particularly in the Endorphin Elite 2 over half marathon, I found I had some toe issues after that, which still haven't gone away, by the way. And they're still there, but they actually felt okay running in this shoe, whereas some of the softer shoes, those toe issues that I've now got, they come back to haunt me. So I think all in all, really nice midsole. I think the only issues you're going to have with this, if you're landing further back here with this cutaway, you're going to be struggling to get over this heel bevel, and it won't be the smoothest of transition from heel to forefoot for you. I'm a 4-foot striker. I land about here. I'm a 5'9", 63, 64 kg, so I'm not heavy. I'm not a big runner by any means, and this kind of works for me. I think you heavier runners though, provided you land in the 4-foot area, because of this foam is actually not too soft, you're going to get a lot of bounce out of this. You'll be able to hit the ground hard and it's going to really bounce you forward. And I think that's the key with this shoe. And when we talk about the race in a minute, I'm going to talk about how that felt. But the key is you can lengthen your stride. So whether you're a cadence runner, a shuffler, or whether you've got an elongated stride, one of these stride bounders type runners. I'm a bit more of a bounder than a cadence runner, but actually I'm kind of somewhere in between, and this enables me to lengthen my stride, which obviously allows me to cover the ground more quickly, and it's good as well at encouraging you to increase your cadence. So all in all, fabulous shoe for going fast. And if we can talk about the parkrun a minute, I wasn't feeling great, to be honest. My legs were really heavy going into that race, and I could tell, I could tell when I was going up some of the inclines during the run that my legs felt really heavy compared to what they normally do at the weekend when I'm doing park runs. I'd basically done too much racing recently. But that said, once I could get over those hills, it encouraged me to lengthen my stride, like I said, and bound along. And it allowed me to keep up with the majority of the run or race, the lead pack. And in the end, I ran what was a course PB for Endcliffe Park, which was 17:51. Whereas before, I think my best has been 18:15. That's quite a jump. Considering I wasn't actually feeling in good condition before and during the race. There was a few points during the race where I actually thought about quitting actually, because I felt so terrible. But here's the weird thing about this shoe. You don't always feel like you're running well in this shoe, and then if you're not checking your watch all the time, which I don't tend to do, and you get to the end, you look at your time and you think, what? How? I was terrible out there. And that says to me that this shoe, it may not be the nicest feeling shoe. It may not have the most extraordinary bounce or the most compressive and decompressive foam that makes you think you're flying. But there's something incredibly efficient about running in this shoe. I don't think you get so much vertical movement. You get a lot of forward propulsion. And I think that's why, for me, this is one of my now go-to shoes for 5, 10K and half marathon, because I feel like I have to expend less effort in this shoe than I do some of the other shoes that I've got. I think it's similar in some ways to the Alpha Fly 3, whereas I never feel like I'm running well in that shoe. And then I look at my times and I realize, actually, yeah, I've run quite well, run quite quickly. And I think, how? I feel the same with this. I feel with the Puma Fast On Nitro Elite 3, it's not a shoe that I've fallen in love with. It's a shoe that I respect, right? So it's not a shoe I want to marry. It's a shoe I admire, right? And we all know the difference there, right? I might want to marry this yellow X1 2.0 or the original, because I absolutely love those shoes. For me, this is more about, I'm looking at it thinking, how are you built the way you're built? Yeah, you're remarkable. And I think that's the right word for this shoe. It's a remarkable shoe. And I've now given it those 3 races, and I wanted to do that before I do shoe comparisons in this with this, because I wanted to make sure that I covered longer distances like the half marathon and medium distances like the 10K and shorter efforts like the 5K to actually give it a good overview, and so that when I'm doing head-to-heads with the Adidas Pro 4 or the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2 or those kind of shoes, I can do it justice. And I think again, that's another good phrase for this shoe, doing it justice, because basically whenever I put this on, regardless of how I'm feeling, I do the competition or race justice, because this just keeps me bounding along. And I would say for anyone looking for an ultra efficient shoe, not necessarily a shoe that you're going to absolutely love the minute you put it on, the Puma Fast On Nitro Elite 3 fits the bill. Endcliffe Park, for those that don't know it, is a park run with a few inclines, some declines, a bit of off-road, a bit of running on narrow paths through the woods by the duck ponds. It's not, there's a bit where you have to cross the bridge. If you watch the run footage, you'll see that I got completely blocked off there, and the guy came storming past me. He pulled a fast one on me, which is something I normally do, so I can't really complain. But there are points, what I'm saying, there are points during that park run which you have to really slow down. So I don't think it's ever going to be a PB course for me, but to run 17:51 was, for me, given how I felt, given that course, I think pretty remarkable, actually. And I don't mean that in a braggy way. I mean, from my own point of view, there's no way I thought I could have done that today. And I think it's a mixture of me just persevering and having a shoe on that allows me to be under par, but just keeps me bouncing along. So that's what I think about this shoe. And it's not the perfect shoe for Endcliffe Park. There are some off-roady bits that you do have to watch your foot strike in this shoe. Not the most stable shoe. There are more stable shoes out there on the marketplace, particularly when you're going around corners. There's a lot of points where you fly down and then you have to take a sharp corner. This felt a bit unstable doing that. I had to take these corners very wide. So I lost a bit of time there. But all in all, once I could get set this shoe and go in a straight line, it absolutely flies, this shoe. So that's kind of all I want to say today. I think, to summarize, kind of an unstable shoe, but one which, when you actually get a nice straight line to run in, there aren't many better shoes than this. It's a shoe that has nice compression, decompression, allows you to get a nice toe spring, but also has a rocker that allows you to keep rolling you forward. It doesn't have the most remarkable bounce, but what bounce it does is a forward bounce, so it's very efficient, this shoe. I think it would be good for heavier runners than me, because of the foam is kind of, it's not firm, but it's less soft and say the Endorphin Elite 2 or the Adidas Pro 4. And it's a shoe that will be pretty good for all race distances, whether that be 5k up to marathon. I still had some tight calves at the end of this, but I'm getting used to that a bit. They were slightly less than before. That's something to keep your eye on. I think this is quite an intense shoe, and it does cause quite a bit of impact and strain on those calves of ours. So if you've got calves issues, muscle issues there in your calves, or in the lower part of your hamstrings, this might not be the shoe for you. If you're a heel striker with this cutaway, again, it might not be the shoe for you. But if you're like me, you land in the forefoot, you're a bit of a bounder, you're somebody who likes to lengthen his stride, increase their cadence, this is arguably the perfect shoe. It's one of the most efficient shoes out there, and I actually believe that is the case now. Anyway, Puma, please make it available. And that's pretty much all I want to say today. If you haven't watched the run footage, watch the run footage. If you want to put in the comments what you think of this shoe, whether you haven't been able to get it yet and you're annoyed like me that Puma doesn't make this readily available, anything else you want to know about the shoe, what you want me to compare this shoe against going forward to help you make the right decisions. Remember, I buy all the shoes myself, so these are completely unbiased reviews. Nobody's had a chance to change my opinions about this shoe in any shape or form. As long as I do these reviews, I'll keep that ethos in place, because I think the whole point of doing this is so that you guys make the right decisions. That's all I want to say today. Hope you found that useful, and I'll see you soon. And sorry I haven't posted much recently. Work's been really hectic, and I've had some downtime, a little bit of downtime with my running. Even though I've been doing these races in between, I've been kind of recovering. I'm still feeling I've not quite recovered from the London Marathon yet, but that's coming. I'm hoping that I can start going on that PB smashing train soon, but I'm having to wait a little bit to get my body, mind back in place to be able to be ready to attack those PBs. Anyway, I'm rambling now, aren't I? I'm sorry about that. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Let's have it!